Narrative games have been the cornerstone of a lot of PlayStation titles since probably Uncharted really pushed them to be mainstream. But I mean, you could even go a little bit further back than that, and you could look at games like Tomb Raider on the original PlayStation 1 if you really wanted to get technical about why narrative story games are such a main focus and a mainstay of the PlayStation ecosystem. But with that in mind, the most recent system has had some fantastic, and I mean truly fantastic, narrative story games that I think we should check out. So this is 5 narrative story games that you should check out on PS5. Starting right off with one that was actually originally released on PS4, and I know what you're saying, remasters, remakes, that's all this generation is, but yeah, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is one that I definitely recommend checking out, not just because the narrative of The Last of Us Part 2 is truly spectacular, and obviously The Last of Us Part 1 is phenomenal, and I don't need to say any more about that one, but the reason I recommend The Last of Us Part 2 is not only just because the narrative is incredible and the visual updates that the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro have for this title are spectacular, but I often found myself when I was done playing the game wanting to experience the combat again. Now the narrative is what drew me in, obviously, but the combat within The Last of Us Part 2 specifically is fantastic, and with the no return mode that is included in The Last of Us Remastered, I guarantee you will enjoy the combat and having that experience and having that opportunity to go back and experience that combat in a non-reload up the same save 500 times just because you want to have the same experience 500 times. I was one of those people. I did it. I reloaded the same encounters a couple times just to experience them over and over again. But with no return, you don't have to do that. You can experience different types of encounters that are procedurally generated, and it is a fantastic time. But obviously this is a narrative story focused, so why The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is a little bit more unique is that it actually gives you opportunities to go into 3 different behind the scenes gameplay experiences that were removed from the main story. So these are called the Lost Levels, and within these Lost Levels you can play some very raw experiences that give you a little bit of context, and they will even tell you why they were removed from the end game and didn't quite make it there. These are really cool to play, and if you're just looking for a purely narrative experience, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, you can't go wrong with this game. Now moving on from The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, we have another incredibly emotional title, and that is A Plague Tale Requiem. Now, A Plague Tale Innocence was already a fantastic game that I still need to go back and complete, but A Plague Tale Requiem is an emotional roller coaster of note. While it doesn't have the combat prowess that The Last of Us Part 2 did, the story here is really what keeps you going. You do see some and explore some incredible visages and incredible areas, which is just adding to the narrative of the story. You have this beautiful moment of tranquility and peace, and then the story just carries on and is gut-wrenching, and it is wonderful, and I think everyone should experience it. Just go out and play this game. It's really just a spectacular emotional roller coaster, because just one minute you think you're safe, and then the next enemy is there and the next situation is happening. Just make sure you are ready for this game. It is spectacular. Now, this game that I'm going to talk about now is severely underrated, and that is because the game that came prior to it was a massive flop. And I mean, we've had some astronomical flops over the last few years, but this one stands out because it is so closely tied to a very particular universe that is very beloved, and that game that flopped was Marvel's Avengers. So the game that I think really deserves a lot of people's time and patience is Guardians of the Galaxy. This game is spectacular. Now, if you're a trophy hunter, it's less so. I have a glitch trophy and I couldn't quite get the platinum, which is incredibly infuriating. Also, let me know how you like the trophy overlay situation gameplay. I'm going to try this. It's a little bit different. Hopefully it's okay. Let me know if you guys like it. If you don't like it, it won't be in the next one. But Guardians of the Galaxy is truly spectacular because that narrative is so deeply ingrained within the story, and you actually are engaged, and it's a very memorable story for me. It's very few times that superhero games have such particular story games. The Arkham series does it well, the 2 Spider-Man games do it well, but most superhero games you just do and are done with it. This one will stay with you a little. It is a very fantastic, fun game. I do enjoy looking for fun games. Fun titles are things that we don't have often enough, and Guardians of the Galaxy checks all those boxes. It has really great gameplay. Just be aware that you are only playing as Star-Lord, and while at first that was a bit meh for me, and I was like, oh, that's a bit sad, they kind of made the right choice. When you play the game, you will understand why this was the right choice, focusing on Star-Lord specifically. It really was the correct choice for the narrative game, and it is truly a game that I think everyone really should be putting some time into. Now, the next title is the big one. This is the PlayStation Studios narrative game that I think really has shown why they have such a prowess, and I'm not talking about The Last of Us, because we've done The Last of Us, and we are talking about God of War Ragnarok. Now, God of War Ragnarok is truly a spectacular game from beginning to end, and even after the end, you have so much more to do. What makes God of War Ragnarok such a great title is that while there are so many different things to do aside from just the narrative, there's about 20 hours worth of side content. It is so entwined within the main story, and you will always feel the impact of what you are doing on the side coming into the main story. A lot of side quests, specifically in like open world games, will have you doing things that don't feel like they're very related. So you kind of feel like you're just doing this on the side, and it's a one and done thing, and it doesn't have any major impact or any major tie-ins to the main story. However, with God of War Ragnarok, it is very much not that. Everything that you do on the side basically ties into the main story, and it is fantastic. I love the intertwined nature of the side content and the main story. It is truly something that I feel like more publishers should be doing, just tying in their games like this. It is really fantastic. The last game on this list is something that I'm surprised is on this list. I'm surprised that I loved it so much. Massive shout out to Alec from That Freaking Geeks Instagram channel and YouTube, TikTok, he's everywhere. He recommended the first title because he realized how fantastic the second title was, but the second title didn't have a physical release until last year when I did pick it up. If you haven't guessed already, the title that I want to recommend is Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 takes the situation and the narrative established in the first game and makes it so much better. The first game was good, solid 8 out of 10 game, no problem with it. It wasn't anything majorly special. That might be because it was released over a decade ago, but Alan Wake 2, wow. I love Alan Wake 2. I don't like horror games, but I love Alan Wake 2. I platted this game, which is something that I don't do very often for games in the first run through of them. I usually wait until the end, especially narrative games, to then go clean up the trophies. This game I was exploring every inch of the maps that they gave you, just so that I could make sure that I was experiencing the game to the fullest, and I loved every second of it. I explored and completed this game to its fullest. I now need to go back and do the DLCs, which also look fantastic. We will maybe doing those on stream, depending on the outcome of the poll that is up on the community page on my channel at the moment. But other than that, Alan Wake 2 is a game that, while I want to spoil and say as much as I can, I don't want to as well, because I want you guys to go experience it. It is truly a gripping narrative. The new character, Saga Anderson, is perfect. She is perfectly entwined into this world, and I think she fits into it so well. So before I spoil it, make sure you go just at least run through the first game, play it on easy mode, just go experience that narrative so that you can understand what's going on in the second game, and then go play the second game, because the second game is French kiss. Love it. So good. Other than that, hope you guys are enjoying the videos on the channel. We are definitely back into full swing of the things. We're going to be having another Friday video this weekend, or this Friday I should say, and then obviously another top 5 Tuesday. Also, let me know what your favorite narrative games are on PS5, and maybe I'll check them out at some stage. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend and the rest of your week. Cheers.